Hey guys, this is Dave with Moniology and Markets. This is the Precious Metals Review for February 3rd, 2019. This will be the first part in the two-part series. We're going to cover the general precious metals landscape right now, and the second part will cover individual names on our watch list that we like. Bottom line is the PM space is breaking out, has broken out, and we like what we see here. A lot of folks are talking about how gold and silver are going to break down here. You know, those guys are literally out of their minds. I mean, either they're looking at something I completely don't see, but it's just looking at all the charts in the space right now: gold, silver, various ratio charts, various currency charts, all of which we're going to cover here from a weekly standpoint. There's no doubt in my mind right now that we're in the early innings of a major bull run. The only question is how fast and how long this is going to run, but let's take a look at what we see here. So starting with gold weekly, we made a very strong base at 1200 area, and we started rallying from there. We broke above the middle Bollinger Band, broke above the 50-week and then 200-week moving average, consolidated a little bit below 1300, and we had a very nice weekly handle last week. Most important part in my analysis is you want to see what momentum is doing versus versus previous price points and momentum. And what we see here unequivocally is we're at 1322. Momentum is closed the week right above that crucial 70 RSI marker. The three most important RSI markers are 30, 50, and 70. And when we break out of those, that's when the biggest moves do occur. And the longer we stay above those areas, the longer the bullish runs occur, and vice versa. So at 1322, we're at 70 RSI. When we are at 1369, we were only at about 60. So the point is we have positive divergence, and what this tells me is that this particular move, before any pullback does occur from a longer term standpoint, probably takes us to about 1350 to 1375. Wouldn't be surprised if we get there this week, followed by a pullback consolidation above that 1300 area, followed by an eventual breakout above these 2 points. So from a longer term standpoint, you want to see gold break out above 1375. I'm fairly confident it's going to do it this time around because of the various positively divergent points, and we'll cover a lot of different charts that prove this narrative to be very strong. And this is the place that I want to be invested as much as I possibly can. Okay, starting with the gold miners, the majors. So again, this is 2016. We had a rally out of the lows. We had a peak here. We had divergent highs on RSI. We broke down. We broke down, and then we kind of muddled around here for a little bit, and we broke out again in the middle of 2017. But this breakout point was still in a consolidative mode, but above that trend line, right? So this was painful if you bought here thinking we broke out, and then we test all the way down to 1719, which is lower than this particular high. So that was very frustrating, but we did stay above this downtrend breakout, and now we rallied, and the question is, how far do we go from here? By the looks of RSI again, where we broke out above the 50 RSI here, we back tested successfully. That's very critical. A successful back test says this move is real. We closed the week at 2257, not coincidentally 1 penny above the 200-week moving average of 2256. Remember, if we looked at gold, we closed the week just 2 pennies, or basically 2 decimal points above that 70 marker. So these computers who are running these trades, they know what they're doing. Bottom line is, this is a very bullish breakout. You notice here we're much higher in RSI than when we were at a previous point around this price area at 23, and it's not even close. So bottom line is, we may consolidate here above 22, but this wants to make a move towards 25. I think that's where we go before any significant pullback does occur, this 25 area. So keep an eye out for this. If you want to catch this run, or you already own, all the way to 25 seems pretty safe. Retest back to the 22 area before you break out to make a run again for that 31 area, which I think will surpass this year, but we'll have to see as things play out. Looking at the juniors, juniors also broke out finally here in December, back tested that 50 RSI level, and now are making a breakout on RSI. So when momentum leads price, that's a sign that this is a real bull market. Now, unlike the majors who are already above the 200-week moving average, the juniors have a lot of room to make up. So if you want to have a leverage play towards metals, the juniors are going to have a lot more upside in this next leg than the majors. Until now, the majors have really done better than the juniors, but you're seeing a lot of relative outperformance of late of the juniors, and that's precisely what you want to see. Here's the HUY Gold Bugs Index on a weekly standpoint. This is just a cleaner chart. Look at this downtrend. Just like GDX, we consolidated above this breakout point, and then we've created this narrow downtrend here, but we broke out above that. Now we back tested it, and now we're rising higher. I think we're going to make a move towards 180 as possibly as early as this week, and I think there's tremendous upside. I'm of the humble opinion that we're going to see 286 at this point, at some point this year. So that's a significant rally in metal miners that I expect to see. And so clearly we're just in the beginning stages. So there's going to be a lot of consolidation, a lot of up and down moves, but there are going to be a lot of just rip your face off rallies as well. So this is a significant development in the metals space. Now looking at silver, you want to see silver start outperforming gold, and it has been, and I'll show you in one of our ratio charts in a few minutes. But bottom line is, you extend this particular arrow or this downtrend line, and we've broken out above that, and we're creating positive divergence on RSI. So momentum today is higher than when price was at 1735, when price basically all the way at 20, and momentum today at 16 is higher. That means there's a significant surge in strength, in the underlying strength in this move that hasn't even started really, basically. And so when the amateurs, when the folks, the talking heads on CNBC start moving into this particular space, we're going to be around here, and then we might rally a little bit more, but the significant part of the move has already will have already begun. So this is where you want to get in, not over here. Looking at the junior silver miners, they haven't broken out as much as the gold miners have in price, but look at this significant breakout in momentum. And we just did break this week above the 50 RSI, and this is precisely why we had such a big move. Look, notice this. The gold miners, frankly, were up 7% as well. So I'll take that back. But bottom line is, this move is important. We broke above the 50 RSI. You want to stay there for as long as you possibly can. If we break below the 50 level, it invalidates this move. But I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. So bottom line is, my target for this year at a minimum is this 20 area, and there's a lot of upside ahead. Looking at platinum. Platinum's been basing for a while, and it's one of those metals that's just been confusing, confounding, frustrating, everything in between, and it's starting to show signs of life. Look at this. You've got double bottom and price effectively, and you see this just stair-step momentum build. We're right below the 50 RSI, and as soon as that breaks to the upside, I think we're going to get a rip your face off move towards 900, and I think 900 is going to be broken to the upside, which will create a move all the way to 1200. So keep an eye on those platinum miners. There aren't that many of them, but if you can do your due diligence on the few names that actually do mine platinum, and we've covered some of them before, you're going to see a lot of upside in that particular beaten down space. Here's gold versus silver weekly. So what we want to see here is we want to see this particular chart break down, because you want to see silver outperform gold. So this you want to see underperform. So this is a weekly head and shoulders formation that I'm seeing here, right above the 50-week moving average, and you see this descending momentum formation during this particular time frame, and the neckline here is around 80. And once this breaks, there's going to be significant downside, and conversely, silver is going to significantly outperform gold when this happens. That doesn't mean gold's not going to do exceptionally well. It's just silver has been beaten down so badly that its upside is a lot more significant, in my opinion. Here is GDX versus GLD. You notice this again on their own. When you look at the gold chart, when you look at the miners chart, you can assess how they're doing in absolute terms, but you want to see how they're doing in relative terms. How are the miners doing against gold in a bullish market? In an uptrend, you want to see the majors outperform the metal, and here we're starting to see a major breakout here. Notice that we retested the 50 successfully. We broke down slightly, but we rallied, and now we're at a critical point where this last point here was the last point we broke down, where the majors started really underperforming the miners, and now we're at that same area of RSI. So I want to see what happens here. This might be an area where we're going to find some resistance and possibly pull back in the miners. So if that happens, that's okay. But if it breaks out, that's a very positive development. Again, you want to see the majors move significantly higher than GLD. Here is the miners against the metal. They're starting to break out as well. You know, this is downtrend since 2016. We're starting to break higher, and here as well on the RSI, some significant upside should this occur. Here are the miners against the majors, and it doesn't show all that much, but what it does show is that there's significant momentum being built in this relative ratio chart. It rallied above the 50 RSI. We consolidated, and now it looks like we're curling to make a move back higher here. Notice the PPO is very strong, or not very strong, but it's certainly curling, has curled above zero, and I think we're getting into a phase where the miners are going to do really well relative to the majors. A couple of currency charts here to end off the video. Here's the USD dollar index weekly. You want to see this go lower if precious metals are going to do as strongly as I expect them to. We closed the week below the 50 RSI. That's very critical. We did so with negative divergence, so at 95.30, which is where we closed the week. Momentum was lower than when we were at 94.64, lower in price. That's negative divergence, tells me that we want to move lower. I don't see much support on momentum before we get to this 38 level, so that probably takes us all the way down to 92 before we see some significant support, and ultimately I think we'll consolidate. That's where I think you're going to get a pullback in the metals, and possibly a rally from 92 back to 94 to 95, and I think ultimately we head lower. In the grand scheme of things, I think within the next year, 2 years, I think we see the US dollar drop all the way down to anywhere between 82 to 88 dollars. So there's a lot of downside in the dollar. Now, similarly, you want to see, or conversely, you want to see the Australian dollar do well. Likewise, you want to see the Canadian dollar do well if precious metals do well, because these economies are significantly dependent upon the commodities sector. So what do we see here? You see the very nice surge in momentum over the last 6 to 8 months, and now we're consolidating right below the 50 RSI. We closed the week just above that 50 RSI level, and I think that this move is just getting started. When you look at the monthly, there's a lot of upside, and I think that you want to see this make a run towards the 75. That'll likely coincide with the USD at 92, and it probably consolidates here before breaking out higher to 80, possibly higher in a very significant commodity bull market. Guys, bottom line is very excited about what's taking place in the PM space. In the second video, I'll show you some names that we're looking at, and I just did want to mention very briefly that I am going to start a premium service here in probably close to July of this year. I'm going to limit the spots to this premium service to about 100, possibly open it up thereafter, but at a significantly higher price. We're going to start this out at $25 a month. Again, this is not going to start until July, but I'm going to take your spots today. So if you want to be a member of the service where you get premium watch lists, you get premium videos and so on individual names, and you want more of a coaching service, this is where we're going to start. Dave@Moniology.com. Please email me and let me know if you want me to reserve a spot for you. And I appreciate it, and have a great trading week.